All human beings live in relationships with other people. When we exist alone as a person, we are not in relationships, and we exist only as a person rather than as a person in relationships. When we exist as a person, we do not have to take any responsibility in relationships with other people and cannot achieve happiness that comes from having relationships. As a person, we may achieve happiness that comes from the physical and psychological comfort by ourselves, but not happiness from relationships. When we exist as a person in relationships, we must take both rights and responsibilities to pursue happiness together with other people. All human beings have the right for happiness living in relationships. To be able to claim for the right for our own happiness, we also have to take the responsibility in relationships. Your responsibility for the counterparty in relationships is essential for your right for your own happiness in relationships. Human relationships refer to all relationships, including those of couples, family members, friends, co-workers, and so on. By analyzing rights and responsibilities of yours and your counterparties in each relationship, you can clarify and redefine the status of each relationship for achieving happiness. To analyze the status of a relationship, we have to first define and characterize the type of the relationship and the people involved in the relationship. Then we need to define and characterize rights and responsibilities of each person involved in the relationship. You can start the process with writing down your own rights and responsibilities in the relationship, and then your counterparty's rights and responsibilities. It would be ideal that both parties adequately take both rights and responsibilities in relationships in a harmonized way. However, when one party takes only rights for one's own happiness but not responsibilities for the counterparty's happiness, the person with rights may be happy, but the counterparty may suffer in the relationship. The counterparty's rights for happiness has been violated by one party's not taking responsibilities in the relationship. The relationship can restore its balance when both parties take both rights and responsibilities in the relationship. A relationship may also lose balance when one party sacrifices one's own rights for happiness to promote the counterparty's rights for happiness. Many people value sacrifice and devotion in relationships and even mistakenly think that sacrifice and devotion for the counterparty's rights for happiness are their responsibilities. But this idea only leads to damage and destruction of the relationship. We must not give up our rights for happiness for the sake of the other's rights for happiness. We must keep both our rights for happiness and responsibilities for the counterparty's happiness simultaneously. All human beings have rights for happiness in relationships as well as responsibilities, so any relationship without the balance between rights and responsibilities for both parties cannot be considered as a healthy relationship. Valuing the concept of sacrifice and devotion in relationships is wrong and misleading, producing unhealthy relationships with unhappiness in many people. When two people take neither rights for one's own happiness nor responsibilities for the counterparty's happiness, they cannot be considered to be in a human relationship in any true sense, even if they are categorized to be in a relationship from legal, social, or cultural standards. When you analyze and clarify the status of relationships, you need to be cautious against being subjective or partial, which will lead to the distortion of the analysis and the distortion of the relationship itself. You must think about and decide on your rights and responsibilities and let the counterparty think about and decide on his or her rights and responsibilities. You must never impose your own ideas or standards on the counterparty regarding his or her rights and responsibilities. All human beings have rights and responsibilities for happiness in relationships. Happiness in relationships can be achieved not by being selfish or sacrificing, but by keeping balance between both parties' rights and responsibilities in relationships. When you apply the standards and guidelines described above to each of your relationships, you will be able to analyze the status of each relationship and clarify on what to do to restore and maintain the balance between rights and responsibilities for being happy together.